my friends. I'm glad to see you made it. For him gathered here today in the name of Jesus Christ. Glory be to God, He's alive. Today, my friends, I want to explain to you a parable, a dream, a message that came to me from a friend. And so, if you're watching today, I hope I don't go over my boundaries. And that's the thing, when God whispers something in my ear, I like to proclaim it out into the light. And your dream or vision is a good one, and I want to explain it because I think it could help a lot of us. Jesus speaks to us in dreams and visions, and it's in those dreams and visions, kind of speaks to us in a parable. And it's in those parables he kind of gets us to come to a higher understanding of who we are, what we're about, and Jesus and who He is and what He's about. So, I was wondering, have you ever wondered about God's throne and what it means to sit on the throne of God? Right? And sometimes, in this world we see the king's throne, right? And this big, beautiful chair and sits above all the rest. And it's like right in the middle of the glory of God, Of course, this throne's going to be so big that everybody can see the throne of God, right? And so I want to explain, a little bit about our lives. Sometimes with life, as Jesus says, the way the devil works is he comes and he's going to tie you up. He's going to tie up the strong man. And what he's trying to tie up is Jesus in us. So he's going to come and try and tie us up. And if he can't get the job done, and we kick him out, and I know what you're trying to do, so I kick you out, and goes get 7 more demons, more evil than himself, and then they come and for sure tie up the strong man, and then are able to rob his home, rob his house. No, what is he going to rob? Gonna rob your joy. I'm gonna rob the good news. I'm gonna rob your faith. I'm gonna rob your happiness. I'm gonna rob your self-worth, your self-esteem. I'm gonna rob you of all these things. And if one demon can't do it, he finds 7 buddies to come in and try and take that from you. Things in life. Could be like thinking we need to love somebody in some sort of an abusive situation because I know if I gave up on them, surely God's gonna. Right? I'm like the last stitch you got between me and God because I'm gonna give you, I'm gonna fix you. I'm gonna love you. And I'm gonna change you. Right? And there's one demon. What is starting to bind me up. This is what controls my thoughts, my mind, my soul, and my body. Because really, God wants us to love Him with all of our heart, mind, and soul. All of it. All of it. And we're not to be consumed by all this other stuff. Now, what would consume us? This deception that comes in to rob us of these things. Maybe, I see how unfair the government is and how it treats us. And that just drives me mad. Right? And that's the thing is Jesus says, if you love me, you're going to be persecuted. You're going to be hated. You're going to have all these things happen to you. Right? He doesn't, it's not about exposing darkness. No, the light it exposes it. You don't have to do something to expose darkness. All you have to do is acknowledge the light, and the darkness goes away. Goes away. Now, we see sick, right? These people are in sin. An abuser is a person who's living in sin. Right? People who cannot love their neighbor as though they're loving themselves, you're living in sin. Right? And sick. Sick, maybe it drives me nuts that boy, I would sure love for everybody to stop living in sin. Boy, thank God I'm not like these guys. Thank God I pay my tithes every week. Thank God I go to church. And I'm not like that. And boy, God, would you wake them up? Okay, and now we got three demons. We got the government, we got an abusive partner, and why won't God fix what I see? And three demons. Now I'm tied up, a little agitated, a little aggravated. Right? I want to see justice be performed. I want to see all poor people, I want to see all people get equal care, the justice that we all deserve as human beings. There's another demon. Tie you up. Right? I want to see all rapists and murderers find their way into prison so that you can't hurt us anymore. 6 demons tying me up. Now the throne of God thing. Now what if the throne of God, what was called a mercy seat, instead of this giant beautiful throne, all of a sudden it was like a wheelchair. A wheelchair. Right? And what is a wheelchair? A wheelchair is, I think of wheelchair, I think of mercy. Mercy seat, because we could just leave you broken and lame in the bed for the rest of your life. Or I could give you a wheelchair and show you some mercy, and we wheel you around. Mercy seat, a wheelchair. And there we have the sick. What is a wheelchair made for? Sick, the lame. Could you imagine somebody in a wheelchair who is sick and lame? And the power and the truth is all the angels of God are here to serve us. Now you got the abuser, the sick and the lame, that person who just can't stop sinning, sitting in this wheelchair. Right? That's where sick people sit, in the wheelchair. Right? Those who need help from everybody else around them because they're stuck in a wheelchair. And they need nurtured and cared for, right? This is what we think of people in a wheelchair. Now what if, because of my unforgiveness, my hate, my anger, that the angels of God, who are going to serve us, all of a sudden show up and begin to attack the person in the wheelchair. And he can't defend himself because he's sick and he's lame and he's broken and he's in a wheelchair, sitting on this seat in this chair. And here's all these angels come, in the glory of God, and they begin attacking this man, and they're gonna hurt him, choking on him. He can't defend himself. And we as good people would say, oh God, what's going on? Why are you picking on that one in the wheelchair? Why that one? Please, Father, have mercy. He can't even defend himself. He can't do anything. He's sick. He's broken. Why are you hurting the one in the wheelchair? And then all of a sudden, those angels turn from demon into helpers. And what they do is they stand that man up and move him out of the wheelchair and then place us, in the chair, in the seat. Right? And of course, when we're in the wheelchair, when we're broken, when we're hurt, when we're sick, God has all the angels there to tend our every need. As now it's my turn to sit on the mercy seat, in the wheelchair, in that spot made for the broken and the sick. See, Jesus says, if you show mercy, you will receive mercy. Sometimes I can't show mercy to myself, because if I walked away, oh, God forbid, now I live the rest of my life adulterer. I live the rest of my life as I gave up. And so I can't give up. So I stay. I want to prove to the world that we're all wrong and living unjustly. So I go to the riots. I go to the rallies. But all the while, doing this. Okay, so now I'm sitting on the throne. Right? And Jesus says, if you want mercy, if you really want to know God, let me, King of Kings, sit on my throne. My throne. Right? See what happens when we're on the throne? All of a sudden, we're all tied up. We're all frustrated and we're all upset because I want to be God. I want to judge. I want to fix and heal. I want to be Jesus. And Jesus says, whatever you loosen on earth, you will loosen in heaven. If you let me be king, I let you be a part of my kingdom. Right? And in here is complete mercy. Right? So see, we all want to be on the throne because we're all seeking mercy. And Jesus says this is where you're going to find mercy. It's when you allow me to sit on my throne. Right? And that's what gives us the power and the ability to say, you know what? That the best thing I can do for you is agree with God. You are sick. You are broken. And I can't fix you. And in fact, the more I try to fix you, the more broken I become. And now we're both paralyzed. But because I can forgive myself to walk away. I can forgive you so that you don't have power over my thoughts, my mind, or my day. I can love you from afar. From afar. Because I can let Jesus Christ heal you. Right? Like the world. Yeah, we want to expose darkness and injustice. And Jesus says, if you let me be king, darkness will go away. You'll have no power. You know, we could get all upset over all the false teachers out there. People who just love money and the things and the comfort that money brings. You know, we could all wish to want to be the most popular guy. One of the reasons people want to look their best. have the best clothes and the best hair, is because they want your opinion. They want you to just say to them, I matter. I'm important. You know, in public, they always are there to be seen. Could talk about that. But that's what Jesus is saying. That this is the people who are justified. You know, not us who are sitting around bragging and look what I got and all these things and thank God for all my blessings. Or you could be justified. But by being the one who can't even raise their eyes to God and say to God, I am the sinner. Have mercy on me. Right? That's what he says. And this man gets justified. The tax collector who's beating on his breast. I, the sinner. Have mercy on me. Right? And that's the mercy seat of God. The throne of God is Jesus is at the right hand of God forever. All sins are there at God's right hand. You know, I've been reading the book of Zephaniah and Zechariah back in the Old Testament. And in the day of the terrible day of the Lord, when that day comes, and he's going to wipe out and destroy all of God's enemies. I mean, read that book. That's just total destruction. It's just, he's going to come with vengeance and wrath like this earth has never seen before. Right? And we always wonder about it. And Jesus says, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It says, do not fear, little flock. It has pleased your Father to give you the kingdom. Sell what you have and give alms. Get purses for yourself that do not wear out. A never failing treasure with the Lord, which no thief comes near, nor any moth destroys. Whatever your treasure lies, where your treasure lies, there your heart will be also. There your heart will be also. And so that's the thing is, if our treasure is in heaven, you know, it really doesn't matter what we look like or what we're saying. It only matters what we're doing. And you ain't gonna accomplish it through treasures of this life. Through our works, is what he's saying. But only by that which we are willing to give to Jesus. And if we're willing to give Jesus everything, he says 100%, sell everything you got and follow me. And if you're willing to give him everything, he says, it is God's good pleasure to give you everything. He says, let your belts be fastened around your waist, and your lamps be burning ready. Be like men waiting their master's return from a wedding, so that when he arrives and knocks, you will open for him without delay. It will go well with those servants whom the master finds wide awake on his return. I tell you, he will put on an apron, seat seat them at the table, and proceed to wait on them. Should he happen to come at midnight before the sunrise, and then find them prepared, it will go well with them. As well as that if I, the head of the house, knew when the thief was coming, he would not let him in to break into his house. So be on guard, therefore. The Son of Man will come when you least expect him. That's the thing. We're not waiting for Jesus to come. Jesus has come. And he's come in the flesh. And he's come in your flesh. He's come in our flesh. He's come in the flesh of all men. And he is the strong man inside of us. Sometimes we're so willing to believe men. So willing to believe people. So willing to believe what our eyes see. That we're completely unwilling to believe in the unseen. That's the thing. I don't come here to make friends, and then I just come to tell you the truth. I could be so angry and upset and hate this world, and I do. I do hate this world. Right? Because in this world, sin exists. And I hate sin. I hate sin. Right? And we see God in all his wrath. But all sin, all his wrath, squashed Jesus. That's what makes me not want to sin anymore. It makes me not want to live in sin anymore. Because all the punishment, when we look through the Old Testament and all the wrath and the punishment that was supposed to go to all of these enemies, squashed Jesus with it. That's the thing. The only way we can stop abusing our Father is to believe in him. And that is forgiveness of sin. When Jesus says, walk like me. Okay? Everything hated him. Yet he still found a way to heal people. Everybody despised him. Yet he still found a way to love people. All the world and all the sins of the world came crashing down on him. And he would not condemn it. He wouldn't condemn them. In fact, when they were saying all these horrible accusations about him, he sat there silent as a lamb. Right? So what is he saying? Be on guard. Be doing what you're supposed to be doing. Forgiving and living in love. We could get all upset and angry about what the world's doing. Or we could just agree with God. And abandon the world. Abandon it and its actions and everything it's doing. And live our lives striving to enter into God's rest. Right? Do not worry. Do not worry. He says, Peter says to him, do you intend this parable for us, Lord, or do you mean it for everyone? And the Lord said, who in your opinion is that faithful, farsighted steward whom the master will set over his house servants to spend their ration of grain in season. That servant is fortunate whom his master finds busy when he returns. Assuredly, his master will put him in charge of his property. Whoa, charge of his property. So that's the thing, is God has saved you. Right? Sometimes we won't leave an abusive spot because I'm the one who's going to save you. God saved you. So no man can boast. God saved you. God saved this world. So we don't have to do that no more. We don't have to save anyone. What we could do is just love them for who God made them to be. Isn't that what Jesus said? We could just love them for who God made them to be. He says, but if the servant says to himself, my master is taking his time about coming, and begins to abuse his housemen and servant girls, to eat and drink and get drunk, that servant's master will come back on the day when he does not expect him, at a time when he does not know. He will punish him severely and rank him among those undeserving of trust. The slave who knew his master's wishes but did not prepare to fulfill them will get a severe beating, whereas the one who did not know them and who was nonetheless deserved to be flogged will get off with fewer stripes. When much has been given a man, much will be required of him. More will be asked of a man to whom more has been entrusted. Right? So when God asks you to forgive, sometimes you got to forgive a whole lot. Right? But because you were entrusted with this little act of forgiveness, God's willing to entrust you with his entire kingdom. This is so no man may perish. No man may perish. So God says, hey, we're all bitching and moaning. Where's Jesus coming? He's coming. And he's, you still don't believe. And that's why he's still waiting to come to you. For God knows the hearts and minds of all people. It's tough to live in this world. We would all love to have peace and own that peace. But that's work. And that's where our faith... What is faith without work? It takes a lot of work to keep my peace. That's work. And that's good work. Right? And if we maybe, like he says, if you're able to be entrusted with a little bit of stuff, give you more stuff to be faithful with. What am I going to be faithful with? Their eternal soul. How am I going to be faithful with their eternal soul? By giving it to Jesus. Giving it to Jesus. Letting Jesus have his own throne. That's where we are today. Can we enter peace? Can two strangers come together and become one in spirit and body? Be able to love one another as though they were loving their own body. That there is the completion of God's work in our lives. Right there. Then it's completed. That's the thing. sometimes we have to love people from far off or far away. Ain't that what Jesus did? He left and says, I won't return unless you say, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Right? So I just want to remind you that sometimes we're the strong man being tied up and we don't even know it or realize it. This one is controlling our thoughts, our mind, and our body. Because if Jesus Christ is in control of our mind, our heart, our soul, and our body, and we're all in agreement that we're willing to not sin anymore. I'm willing to forgive myself for walking away. I'm willing to forgive myself for wanting a better life. Part of having that better life of God wanting to lavish us with a life of abundance and the fullness of it. I just want you to remind you that Jacob was willing to give up his bowl of soup, his comfort, his good things here in this life. He was willing to give it up for a better inheritance, a better promise. You know, that's what Jesus says. Unless you're willing to die, you'll never see life. He's really saying, die to yourself, your own abilities. Die to your work. Die to sin. Hate sin. Hate sin so bad you're willing to separate from it and not participate in it anymore. For no other reason than I want to not hurt my Savior anymore. I want to bring sorrow or pain to him. So I'm going to forgive all sins and find a way within me to love my enemies so that I too may be a son of God. See you next time.
Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little eyes, what you see. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little eyes, what you see. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little ears, what you hear. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little ears, what you hear. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little tongue, what you say. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little tongue, what you say. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little hands, what you do. For the Father up above is looking down in love. So be careful, little hands, what you do. Oh, be careful, little feet, where you go. Oh, be careful.